Hi everyone, hope everyone's okay. I thought I'd read you another chapter of my book, Mrs Pepperpot Stories. Hope you can see that. I'm not blinding you with the sun today. Okay, this story is called Mr Pepperpot Buys Macaroni. It's a very long time since we've had macaroni for supper, said Mr Pepperpot one day. Then you shall have it today, my love, said his wife, but I shall have to go to the grocer for some, so first of all you will have to find me. Find you? Said Mr Pepperpot. What sort of nonsense is that? But when he looked around for her, he couldn't see her anywhere. Don't be silly, wife, he said. If you're hiding in the cupboard, you must come out this minute. We're too big to play hide and seek. I'm not too big. I'm just the right size for Hunt the Pepperpot, laughed Mrs Pepperpot. Find me if you can. I'm not going to charge around my own bedroom looking for my wife, he said crossly. Now, I'll help you. I'll tell you when you get warm. Just now you're very cold. For Mr Pepperpot was peering out of the window, thinking that she might have jumped out. As he searched around the room, she called out, warm, colder, getting hotter, until he was quite dizzy. At last she shouted, you'll burn the top of your head if you don't look up. And there she was, sitting on the bedpost, swinging her legs and laughing at him. Her husband pulled a long face when he saw her. This is a bad business, a very bad business, he said, stroking her cheek with his little finger. I don't think it's a bad business, said Mrs Pepperpot. I shall have a terrible time. The whole town will laugh when they see I have a wife the size of a pepperpot. Who cares, she answers. That doesn't matter a bit. Now put me down on the floor so that I can get ready to go to the grocer and buy your macaroni. But her husband wouldn't hear of her going. He would go to the grocer himself. That'll be a lot of use, she said. When you get home you'll have forgotten to buy the macaroni. I'm sure even if I wrote macaroni right across your forehead, you'd bring back cinnamon and salt herring instead. But how are you going to walk all that way with those tiny legs? Put me in your coat pocket, then I won't need to walk. There was no help for it, so Mr Pepperpot put his wife in his pocket and set off for the shop. Soon she started talking. My goodness me, what a lot of strange things you have in your pocket. Screws and nails, tobacco and matches. There's even a fish hook. You'll have to take me out at once. I might get it caught in my skirt. Don't talk so loud, said her husband as he took out the fish hook. We're going into the shop now. It was an old-fashioned village store where they sold everything from prunes to coffee cups. The grocer was particularly proud of the coffee cups and held one up for Mr Pepperpot to see. This made his wife curious, and she popped her head out of his pocket. You stay where you are, whispered Mr Pepperpot. I beg your pardon. Did you say something? Asked the grocer. No, I was just humming a little tune, said Mr Pepperpot. Tra-la-la. What colour are the cups? Whispered his wife. And her husband sang, the cups are blue with gold edge too, but they cost so much, so they won't do. After that, Mrs Pepperpot kept quiet, but not for long. When her husband pulled out his tobacco tin, she couldn't resist hanging on to the lid. Neither her husband nor anyone else in the shop noticed her slipping onto the counter and hiding behind a flour bag. From there she darted silently across the scales, crawled under them, past a pair of kippers wrapped in newspaper, and found herself next to the coffee cups. Aren't they pretty? She whispered, and took a step backwards to get a better view. Whoops! She fell right into the macaroni drawer, which had been left open. She hastily covered herself up with macaroni, but the grocer heard the scratching noise and quickly banged the drawer shut. You see, It sometimes did happen that mice got into the drawers, and that's not the sort of thing you want people to know about. So the grocer pretended that nothing had happened and went on serving. There was Mrs Pepperpot, all in the dark. She could hear the grocer serving her husband now. That's good, she thought. When he orders macaroni, I'll get my chance to slip into the bag with it. But it was just as she had feared. Her husband forgot what he had come to buy. Mrs Pepperpot shouted at the top of her voice, "Macaroni!" But it was impossible for him to hear. "1/4 pound of coffee, please," said her husband. "Anything else?" said the grocer. "Macaroni!" shouted Mrs Pepperpot. "2 pounds of sugar," said her husband. "Anything more?" "Macaroni!" shouted Mrs Pepperpot. But at last her husband remembered the macaroni of his own accord. The grocer hurriedly filled a bag. He thought he felt something move, but he didn't say a word. "That's all, thank you," said Mr Pepperpot. When he got outside the door, he was just about to make sure his wife was still in his pocket when a van drew up and offered him a lift all the way home. Once there, he took off his knapsack with all the shopping in it and put his hand in his pocket to lift out his wife. The pocket was empty. Now he was really frightened. First he thought she was teasing him, but when he had called 3 times and still no wife appeared, he put on his hat again and hurried back to the shop. The grocer saw him coming. "Oh, he's probably going to complain about the mouse and the macaroni," he thought. "Have you forgotten anything, Mr Pepperpot?" he asked, and smiled as pleasantly as he could. Mr Pepperpot was looking all round. "Yes," he said. "I would be very grateful, Mr Pepperpot, if you would keep it yourself about the mouse being in the macaroni. I'll let you have these fine blue coffee cups if you'll say no more about it." "Mouse?" Mr Pepperpot looked puzzled. "Shh!" said the grocer, and hurriedly started wrapping up the cups. Then Mr Pepperpot realised that the grocer had mistaken his wife for a mouse. So he took the cups and rushed home as fast as he could. By the time he got there, he was in a sweat of fear that his wife might have been squeezed to death in the macaroni bag. "Oh, my dear wife," he muttered to himself, "my poor darling wife. I'll never again be ashamed of you being the size of a pepper pot, as long as you're still alive." When he opened the door, she was standing by the cooking stove, dishing up the macaroni, as large as life, in fact, as large as you or I. That's the end of that story. I hope you liked that one. I did. I thought it was quite funny. The grocer thinking that he'd put her mouse in the bag instead of Mrs Pepperpot. I'm not sure I want to buy my macaroni from that shop. What do you think? I'll see you all later. Bye.